I said, move, or we'll make you. What follows is not just conflict. It's the public collapse of ego, the reshaping of power dynamics in front of a live audience, and a moment that etched itself into high school legend in under 3 minutes. If you're someone who loves watching the underdog transform and prove they were never truly the underdog to begin with, then this story is for you. Hit subscribe now, because what you're about to witness will permanently change how you view the quiet ones who sit alone in the cafeteria. At Northwood High, the lunch bell never signaled a meal. It signaled a daily social war. The cafeteria wasn't just a room. It was a battleground. Its echoing expanse was alive with chatter, laughter, posturing, and hierarchy, a perfectly contained simulation of the outside world, where social rank was the ultimate currency, and how you were perceived was more valuable than anything on the menu. The scent of microwave pizza, industrial cleaner, and teenage tension blended into something uniquely high school. 500 students spilled into the room like competitors entering an arena, and every day, without fail, 2 young men acted as if they already owned it. Their names, Carter and Colton Mitchell. Identical twins who used that fact like an invisible weapon. Big, broad, sculpted by years of varsity wrestling and football, they moved with that effortless confidence of people who had never been denied anything. Their uniform was their identity, navy blue and golden varsity jackets, sleeves littered with patches and pins like medals of combat, each symbol contributing to their imagined lifelong authority over Northwood's halls. Carter, centimeters taller, was the voice. A smug, slow drawl that sliced reputations like a blade dipped in sarcasm. Colton, slightly wider in build, was the silent threat. He didn't need to speak. His cold stare was enough. To the rest of the school, they weren't just students. They were the storm people tried to avoid. But on one particular Tuesday, the storm finally met the mountain. Their attention that day landed on 2 girls they believed would be easy to unsettle. Lily and Rose Miller. Where the Mitchell twins were loud and dominant, the Miller twins were quiet and observant. They didn't chase attention. They existed with grace in the background, always together, always calm. Petite, long brown hair curtain-like around faces often lowered into journals, sketch pads, or classical literature. Their clothes were unassuming, plain white t-shirts, worn denim shorts. But in the harsh ecosystem of high school, sweet was often interpreted as weak. They sat at a small 2-seat table beside a sunlit window, a peaceful enclave they claimed as their daily retreat. Their lunch was homemade, simple hummus and vegetable wraps, a stark contrast to the cafeteria's deep-fried chaos. And then, their sunlight vanished. A shadow, larger than the table itself. Carter and Colton. "Ladies," Carter began, his voice dripping with exaggerated charm that somehow felt more degrading than open hostility. "You're at our seats." Lily looked up, confusion blinking across her wide, soft eyes. Rose shifted slightly, not in fear, but in alignment. "Your seats?" Lily asked gently. I didn't know seats could be claimed." Colton leaned down, palm slamming onto the table. Water bottles trembled. "They are now," he growled. "This is our post-lunch recovery zone. You're interrupting the feng shui." Nearby students tuned in instantly, conversation silenced, heads turned, and phones subtly angled. Everyone recognized the opening scene of entertainment. Digital witnesses were ready. Rose responded before Lily could. "We got here first. There are many tables left. Find another." Carter's grin faltered. He despised resistance. "See, that's where you're wrong," he replied coolly. "We don't find seats. Seats are vacated for us. That's how this place works." Now he leaned forward. "I'll say it nicely one last time. Move." He let the moment hang, sharpened like a blade. Or we'll make you. The threat was clear. Physical. Final. Lily's hands began to shake. Her sanctuary was being invaded. She looked at Rose with terrified eyes. But Rose's eyes were still, not frozen in panic, but settled. There was weight in her silence. She laid her hand over Lily's. A gesture of protection. A quiet signal. She studied both brothers, lingering on their complacent arrogance. "You'll make us?" Rose repeated softly. Not a question. A statement. A test. Carter, mistaking composure for surrender, laughed sharply. "You think this is a debate? Look at yourselves. A strong breeze could knock you over. This isn't a study hall. This is reality. The strong do what they want. The weak accept it." He waved his hand toward his own frame. "We're strong. You're weak. Simple math." What happened next, nobody anticipated. Lily inhaled shakily, and her trembling stopped. The fear in her eyes was eclipsed by something new, resolve. She looked at Rose. A silent conversation flashed between them. A decade of memory. Hours of sweat, discipline, bruises, balance, and mastery inside a dojo. Rose gave the smallest of nods. The sisters calmly picked up their lunches, placed them in their bags. Carter smirked. "Smart girls. I knew you'd—" He didn't finish. Because they weren't leaving. They were making room. Rose rose to her feet, not back, but forward, stepping toward Colton in one elegant motion. There was zero aggression. It disoriented him. What are you doing?" he muttered. "You have exactly one chance," Rose said, voice level and clear. "Walk away. Apologize to my sister. And this ends here." Silence swallowed the room whole. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Carter and Colton burst into laughter. Loud. Manic. Forced. "Apologize?" Carter scoffed. "For what? Reality?" Colton, tired of delay, moved to shove Rose. He never made contact. What followed was so swift, so controlled, that those filming had to replay their videos in slow motion to grasp it. Rose's arm ascended, gentle but precise, age uke, rising block, redirecting his force effortlessly. Simultaneously, her right hand touched the center of his chest, not striking, just informing him she could have done far worse. Colton froze in stunned realization. Carter, reacting, lunged toward Rose. He didn't reach her. Because Lily stepped in, a blur of white and motion. She captured his arm mid-charge, pivoted fluidly, and executed a flawless ippon suinage, a one-arm shoulder throw. Carter rose off the ground, perfectly horizontal for a heartbeat, before crashing into the floor like a fallen dynasty. A dull, final thud echoed through the cafeteria. The social hierarchy broke with it. Colton, enraged, rushed Lily blindly. He never saw Rose's sweep, ashy beret, until his legs had vanished from beneath him. Now both brothers lay flat on their backs, staring up at the ceiling, the very position they had forced so many beneath them. The sisters stood above them, composed. Lily placed her sneaker an inch from Carter's face, not on him, but close enough to remind him she had chosen mercy. "True strength," Lily said softly, but with iron behind her words, "isn't about intimidating the weak. It's having the power to destroy and the discipline not to." Across from her, Rose knelt beside Colton and whispered, "You saw silence and mistook it for surrender. You thought peace meant passivity. That was your first and last mistake." She tapped 2 fingers over his varsity patch. "These jackets? These victories? They're cloth. They aren't honor. They aren't strength. And they definitely aren't power." They stood, collected their bags calmly, and walked out to the sound of phones still recording. The cafeteria remained frozen for a full second. Then one person began to clap. Another joined. Then another. Within seconds, the room erupted in thunderous applause, not for violence, but for justice. The twins didn't acknowledge it. They simply left. Not running. Walking. Like the room and the moment already belonged to them. The footage didn't just go viral. It became national. Karate twins humble bullies trended online. News anchors referred to it as a modern morality tale. Carter and Colton were suspended, stripped of team privileges. Their jackets, once symbols of their reign, became reminders of their downfall. They finished the year as ghosts. Lily and Rose declined interviews. They never bragged. They only continued training. Their silence deepened the legend. The student atmosphere shifted. Bullies hesitated. Victims stood taller. Something fundamental had changed. A month later, during the spring athletic assembly, a new honor was added. Award for Integrity and Courage. It was given to Lily and Rose. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Not just for their skill, but for their honor. They entered the cafeteria that day as the quiet girls. They left as icons. Because sometimes the pen may be mightier than the sword. But a perfectly executed spinning kick defeats them both. This was the costliest sentence two bullies ever spoke. Move, or we'll make you. It resonated because at some point, we've all felt like Lily or Rose. We've all met our own Mitchell brothers. Their victory felt like ours. Tell me, where are you watching from? Are you from the tough blocks of Chicago? The sunny stretch of California? Maybe the quiet towns of New England? Or somewhere in between? Speech balloon, drop your location below. Your voice is part of this story now.